Hello everyone, still solving equations. With this one we're looking at multiplication and division, and we're dealing with just a single step that's involved for this process. Again, we want to get the variable by itself, so I want the letter on one side of the equal sign and the numbers on the other. So something like this, I want the letter on one side and the numbers on the other, or it could look like this. But no matter what, I want that variable by itself, no negative with it. And I do that by performing inverse operations on the numbers that are on the same side as the letter. Whenever I multiply or divide, so whenever I multiply or divide in these problems, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make a 1. I'm trying to make a 1. So let's begin. Let's look at problem number 1. What I have here is 7x equals 63. I need to get the variable by itself. What is with it? The number 7. What is 7 doing to the variable? It is multiplying. And what's the inverse operation of multiplication? Division. Therefore, I will divide by 7. What I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other. And notice what I've created. I've created a fraction. My 7's cancel out, leaving me with a 1. So 7 divided by 7 is a 1. And my x simply falls down there. Equals, and what is 63 divided by 7? 9. So what I'm left with is x equals 9. When we look at that, we can say 7 times 9 equals 63. Yes, 63 equals 63. Again, like the addition and subtraction ones, a lot of these I realize you can see, but be cautious of that, still work it out. Here we have 4x equals 9. I want to get my variable, sorry, should have circled that. I want to get my variable by itself. What is with the variable? A 4. What is the 4 doing to the variable? It is multiplying. What is the inverse operation of multiplication? Division. Therefore, I will divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 equals 1. And then I just drop my x down. And you do not have to find a numeric value for that. You can simply leave your answer as 9/4, unless your directions tell you to on there. But 9/4 is the correct answer. Again, this is like etiquette. We don't write a 1 with our variable. So this is how the variable will look. The reason I'm writing it is to illustrate whenever I multiply or divide, I'm trying to make a number 1. Alright, problem number 3. I have x divided by 4 equals 20. I want to get x by itself. Right now, it is being divided by 4. So what's the inverse operation? Multiplication. What am I going to multiply by? 4. And I will write this as a fraction because that's visually it helps how we're used to multiplying fractions. My 4's end up canceling, leaving me with the number 1. So there's 1x equals, and 20 times 4 is 80. So x equals 80. And I can check that. I can say 80 divided by 4 equals 20. Yes, 20 equals 20. The reason this problem may be tricky is because our brain sees x, 4, and 20. So what does your brain tell you the missing number is? 7. No, not 7. 5. Tells us that it's 5. That's why you need to actually work it out. There's nothing wrong with doing that mental math in there. But it is not the number 5. Yes, 4 times 5 is 20, and that's what your brain, most of us, think of. As soon as we see the number 4 and the number 20, it's screaming 5. The answer is 5, but it's not. Whenever I multiply through, I end up with 80, and then whenever I actually plug in 80 and do the math, that's the correct answer. Alright, same problem, except I've written it differently. Instead of having x in the place of 1, I've just pulled x over to the side to where 1/4 is my coefficient. So I have the number 1/4 x equals 20. What's with x? 1/4, and I need to get x by itself, right? So how do I turn 1/4 into a 1? Well, like I did over here, I multiply it by 4 over 1. My 4's will cancel, leaving me with the number 1. And then I simply drop my x down with it. So 1x, which is the same as x, equals 80. Same problem, except written differently. Alright. So for number 5 and 6, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to see if we end up with the same answer. Alright, so I need to get x by itself, and what's going on with x is it's being divided by a 3. So I'm going to use multiplication, and I'll write it as a fraction to help visualize. My 3's will then cancel, leaving me with just x, and what I do to one side I have to do to the other, so I'm going to multiply this side by 3. And do you agree 3 over 1 is the same thing as 3? This is just visualizing. If you just write times 3 over here and you see that they cancel, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to write my 1 this time, because 1x is the same as x. So I end up with x equals 18. Plug it in. Does 18 divided by 3 equals x? Yes, that is correct. This is another one that's tricky. Some people want to put a 2 in there, because whenever you see 3 and a 6, the missing number is 2. So, got to work it out. Next one, want to get that x by itself. And there we have 8x equals 15. Okay, 8x equals 15. What is going on between the 8 and the x? Multiplication. So I'm going to divide by 8. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. And this leaves me with x equals 15/8. If I go ahead and evaluate, I say 8 times 15 over 8. So I'm just going to make that 8 over 1. And that should equal 15. My 8's will cancel. I'm left with 15 equals 15. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is solving equations one step, multiplication and division. Again, we multiply or divide, you're trying to make the number 1. And the whole premise is to get the letter on one side of the equal sign and the numbers on the other. And you do that by performing inverse operations. Alright guys, continue to watch your publisher's videos. Structure, critically think, write everything down for your homework, analyze it, and good luck on the rest of your homework.